Good night, good night to you, the good people of St. Joseph. This is a special place for me. My relationship with you in St. Joseph began over 20 years ago when Dale Marshall came to you, the good people of St. Joseph. Tonight I've come to speak on behalf of another good man. Ryan Braffit is your candidate for our party. And tonight, we are proud with our red record of achievements. We have been in government since 2018, working for you. We have had many challenges, and we have faced those challenges up front. We have taken this country from the brink of catastrophe, where we had a government borrowing money from the central bank and for the national insurance to pay wages to public workers. We have had to restore the pride of young people who were disappointed by the last government by not being able to attend the University of the West Indies, an institution that produced myself, the last speaker, Dwight Sutherland, who spoke, and your next representative in Ryan Braffit. And it is important to underscore that fact, because the last administration was running this country so poorly, in spite of the downgrades and the sewage flowing on the streets, and you in St. Joseph who could not get water. They could not answer any of the problems. Only today we see the report of the central bank governor published in today's papers telling you that we have had 4 consecutive years of economic growth, with economic growth continuing and projected to continue in 2026. In 7 short years, we have turned around an economy that for 10 years did not grow by more than 0.1%. We have turned around this economy so much that only last month we were able to appoint over 2,000 people in posts in the public service. We have been able to lower inflation in the troubling times that we face as a small island developing state. We have been able to reduce unemployment back to the levels, my friends, where the Owenafa administration left it when we were kicked out of office in 2008. We have done all of that. But tonight, my friends, you're required to ponder on the future of this country, a future that you would want your children and grandchildren to enjoy, a future that you would want them to prosper and to be able to become part of that mission to transform Barbados and make these young people global citizens so they can compete not only here in Barbados or in the region, but across the world. That is the mission of this Barbados Labour Party. We do that because we have strong, decisive leadership from our Prime Minister. We do that because we are committed to making the hard decisions. Now you will remember that we had to make some adjustments. We had to put some taxes on some things, like the tourist sector. But tourism is leading the growth of the Barbadian economy. We have made sure that we can reduce your taxes, your income tax, your land tax. Small businesses can benefit from a lower corporation tax. And we have lowered taxation in this country to ensure that people who are owning ordinary chattel houses or houses worth less than $400,000 will not have to pay a cent in the treasury in land tax. And we have done all of that in 7.5 years. We have taken over a country where we were regulated to junk. We have taken this country where more than a quarter of our people were not working or could not find work. Barbados now is the place that everyone wants to be. Barbados is the place that everybody recognizes that we have a champion in Mia Amor Motley. A woman who, when she speaks, the world listens. International journalists from all over the world want to interview her to understand what it is that moves her to speak with such confidence and boldness on behalf of the small island nations of this world like Barbados and the rest of the region. She has brokered initiatives like the Bridgetown Initiative, asking the international financial institutions to rethink how they look at their interactions in small island economies and the economies of the developing world. She has introduced the notion of debt for nature swaps, debt for climate swaps, and the establishment of an international green climate fund, because we are not only able to do things on the national level, but we also have to think about Barbados' place within the international environment. We have climate change impacting us in a real and significant way. We have had 2 hurricanes in the last 5 years in Barbados. Last one was in 1955 that really affected this country. Climate change, my friends, is real. And therefore, a government not only must keep its eyes on inflation and unemployment and growing the economy, but also positioning Barbados so that when we have a natural disaster, our commitments to pay those international loans that we borrow to develop the infrastructure, build new capacity, build new industry, and give Barbadians a chance, that the debt will not choke us because we have now to pay for the recovery and the rebuilding of our country. We get all of that interest periods waived. That is leadership on the global stage. And I ask you tonight to ponder whether we can afford to swap a queen for a common man. Ralph Thorne has not brought a single developmental idea in the time he has led the Democratic Labour Party. He has not brought a single initiative as to how he would transform this country, how he will build out the capacity of our people, how he would change the trajectory of going nowhere, but giving ordinary Barbadians a chance to feel that they can participate in our economy and indeed in the economic life of the wider Caribbean. We have deepened our relationships in CARICOM, and we have created freedom of movement among Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, and Belize, creating that opportunity for young Barbadian talent to exploit the opportunities with seamlessness in our sister Caribbean islands. We have led. The dream of Caribbean and regional integration, my friends, is no longer esoteric. It is real. It affords us the opportunity to go and work in any Caribbean country and to provide for our families based on the skills that we learn in our schools and in our tertiary institutions to be able to move forward. We have deepened our relationships with the continent of Africa to the extent that the African Bank has put its headquarters in Barbados. Global conferences between Barbados and the region and Africa are the norm. Africa is no longer a place that we heard about in the history books or hear about wars and coups and overthrow of governments. It is right there that we can almost touch it because of the work of this government to expand Barbados' footprint on the global stage. We have gone into Latin America. You could get on a plane any day of the week and travel from here to Panama, and Bajans are going to Panama and reconnecting with a country where so many Barbadians went over 100 years ago to help build the Panama Canal, and there are Bajan communities in Panama. But beyond Panama, there's also Costa Rica and Ecuador and all the other countries in Central America and indeed in South America. We have deepened our relationships with Brazil. Because we understand that Barbados cannot sit idly by or as an island. And there is a difference in how we manage our relationships with the rest of the countries in the world. We don't only say friends of all and satellites of none, but we engage because we understand that Barbadians are natural champions. Whatever we do and we commit ourselves to doing, we do it well. Everyone wants to take a chance with the Bajan. So what you have to ponder, my friends, is whether we go back to the stagnation under the Democratic Labour Party. Whether you in St. Joseph will continue the good work that has been done on your behalf by Dale Marshall, securing the legacy of the ancestral home of the Barbados Labour Party from the days of Grantley Adams and Lindsay Bolden down to Dale Marshall. You have the opportunity to put a young man from your community, as Dwight has said, he come from about here. He looked like we, he speaks like us. And he's done what his parents wanted him to do, like you want for your children. Go and get an education and make better for yourselves. And I want to say to you, I have observed this young man working within the Barbados Labour Party and working with the branch in St. Joseph. And he is one of the very best we have to offer this country. He is one of the bright young sparks that will be at the decision table when policy considerations are being hammered out, when difficult decisions have to be made, my friends. You will be sending one of the bright sparks from this community. And I want you to embrace Ryan and tell your children, if Ryan Braffit can ascend the steps of Parliament on our behalf, let that be an inspiration to you, my child. Let that be an inspiration to all the children, boys and girls across St. Joseph and all across Barbados, that ordinary people have a place and a seat at the table. The Democratic Labour Party has not offered you anything fresh in St. Joseph. They have offered you a man who has tried and tried and failed and failed and failed. And I tell you that they are so bankrupt that they have abandoned any thought of capturing this seat because they do not care about rural Barbados. We have seen it in the 10 years when they have been in office. Would not address the water woes in this parish, would not address the condition of the roads. They took time, effort, and money with a failed project at Andrews. Got that factory of everything, all of the equipment and steel and everything, because they were interested in the steel. Not the steel equipment, but in the concept of steel. That is the legacy of the Democratic Labour Party in St. Joseph. And when you pass there, my friends, I want you to remember that that project was not intended to benefit anybody in this community. That project was not intended to take any part in building out economic capacity or giving jobs to people in St. Joseph. It stands there as a monument of shame. It stands there as their inability to transform something that was critical to the economy of Barbados in days gone by when sugar was king. And their failed efforts to make something useful, something modern out of an old relic. That is the legacy of the Democratic Labour Party in the parish of St. Joseph. Ryan Braffit was charged with one thing, that is to develop that facility down in Bathsheba. What a beautiful addition to the East Coast. A treasure and a monument to the people of St. Joseph. St. Joseph Engineering and Ingenuity. Coming in on time and within budget. A beautiful facility. And we must thank Ryan Braffit for bringing that to his community. Honestly, hardworking young man. That is the contrast between Andrews and Hillswick. That is what you have to ponder, my friends. You would hear in this election campaign the Democratic Labour Party spewing a lot of garbage, a lot of insults, a lot of derogatory comments. We are not coming to you to fight because, you know, as the saying goes, when they go low, we go high. And we are committed to keeping this platform clean, my friends. We are committed not to sink to the lows that the Democratic Labour Party has sunk to. We are not abandoning St. Joseph by sending a failed political candidate who has tried over the last 30 years to win your hearts and to win your admiration or to get your votes. We have brought to you a young champion of your community, a young man who you can count on, a young man who has delivered, a young man who has worked, a young man who has been entrusted with great responsibility as a chairman of statutory boards, a young man who has brought value to the decision-making processes of your government, a young man who I want to ascend the steps of Parliament after you give us Ryan Braffit on the 11th of February. St. Joseph is an important part of the Barbados Labour Party family, my friends. And I say to you, the people of St. Joseph, give us Ryan Braffit. Give us a young man who can champion your causes. Give us a young man who can champion the issues on behalf of the people of St. Joseph with pride. Give us a young man who can make a contribution to those discussions, those debates that you can be proud of to say, he from boat here. Give us Ryan Braffit. I want on the 11th of February, when we get to 111 Robert Street, to see all of you coming down the road, hailing your new champion, hailing Ryan Braffit as the next parliamentary representative of the good people of St. Joseph. I know you Josephines well. I have spoken on this platform since 2003. And from the time I drive in here, I had to get out my car and hug up people because they remember the work that we have done to ensure the Barbados Labour Party's name is not stained in St. Joseph. And Dale Marshall, tonight I salute you, sir, for 24 odd years of solid representation for the people of St. Joseph. You have passed the baton on to a capable man. And I assure you, the people of St. Joseph, give Ryan the vote. He will not drop that baton. He will run to the end of the tape and bring the pride of St. Joseph with him. Good night, and may God bless you all. Thank you.